Hey, good morning, everybody. Just wanted to touch base with you. This is a board meeting video only, or a board of God's Not Dead Ministries update only. Nothing confidential, just nobody wants to hear this stuff. Okay, so here's what Lisa and I are doing. We had our first open house this last weekend, and we had 0 visitors, Saturday and Sunday. However, that could be enlarged to the news that came out, the media thing that popped on Friday and again Saturday morning, and then released this morning at the Fed that interest rates are about to drop considerably. I don't know if 1% and 2% are ever going to come available again, but I know that people, when they're looking at 8 to 10%, that's like the last thing they want to pay. And I don't blame them. We didn't exactly list our house at the most ideal time, but if you look at most of the biblical figures in history, when was it ideal? It was ideal for God, but not ideal for the people. So anyways, Lisa and I are not worried about it. We have 35 days to the September 29th. We have about 10 days before we really need to buy our tickets, and we have money set aside for that. And then we have about 15 to 18 days before we have to pay, actually before that, we have to pay for our freight to go over. So your prayers would be very welcome and needed. And you know what? Here's the thing. I was just talking with Alex, or I was chatting with her online, and one of the things that she said, hey, the time is coming up quick. And I said, yeah, it's 35 days. And I said, we basically have 5 days to sell our house to keep with our timeline. Now, here's what I want to note to everybody. To keep to our timeline, okay, which is September 29th, we have 5 days to sell our house. Now, God could do anything. On Friday night at 11 p.m., we can get an offer. Who knows? Listen, in the last 7 months, I'm the last one that's ever going to go, can God do it? It is what it is. However, it's really important that everybody understands there's a couple things. One, it's highly expensive to move. We need the capital from our home to move. There's no ifs or buts about it. We don't have $37,000 cash laying around to put down the down payment on the new house. We don't have the $5,000 or $3,800 to send our stuff over in one shot, and we don't have the $10,600 for all the visas and all that stuff up front, and we don't have the $1,700 for the plane tickets, which is the cheapest part. So realistically, it's not that we don't want to go. We would have been gone months ago if everything would have lined up. But what I do know is the amount of things that God has taught us through this process is insurmountable, and it's extraordinarily valuable. There's no way we could talk to other missionaries in the world and tell them how easy our journey has been without knowing. I mean, it would be very difficult to come to some missionary and say, hey, look, you got to raise your own support. If you quit your job, I mean, if God has told you this, if you had the calling like we had, which was a verbal calling, then do what you need to do. And Lisa and I, due to my quitting my job because I worked for a guy that was in tech, we took that as a sign that that is not what God has called us to do. And that's exactly what happened. God has blessed us. I can't tell you how many times over and over God has showed up in our finances, in our marriage, and in our lives, and in our provision and travel and everything else. And it's incredible how God has showed up. And so, as somebody that has witnessed what He does firsthand, I'm not about to guess what God or God can't do. So, but I will say this: without those resources, every day that goes, and I know Lisa's gonna hate this, and I know there's a couple board members that aren't gonna like this either, but every day that passes, that's a day that gets pushed back. Now we have to think and believe there's a reason for that. There's nothing else we can do other than what we've been doing, which is praying, fasting, working our tails off, gaining support, which by the way, yesterday y'all, we went to 72%, and I'm waiting for a response back, but we may be at 75% here in the next 5 or 10 minutes. that's kind of where we're at right now. Okay, don't be discouraged. I'm not. I'm not. I think the only thing that maybe I have sent the wrong signal about is I'm anxious, and not a bad anxious. I just want to go. Lisa wants to go. We want to be in the next chapter, and Lisa also has some obligations that she has to do, like give notice for her job. So the only thing that would really, and it wouldn't surprise me, was if we had a cash offer. That would be ideal. If we had a cash offer and if they didn't use a realtor, holy smokes, that would be, because we would make more than what we need to go. It would give us a buffer. It would allow us to furnish our home. It would allow us to start ministry right away and not have to like gain momentum and all that good stuff. So anyways, listen, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I make long videos for everybody else, but you guys, we love you. We thank you for your prayers. Just wanted to give you an update on what's going on. And if there's anything that I haven't covered that you want to know about, go ahead and drop your comment in the comments. And nobody's going to see it. This is a private video unless you share it with somebody. Oh, one more thing. I'm looking for one more board member, maybe two, because as Wellman moves possibly into the director position, we got to vote on that in a week or two. And we've asked Wellman and Jeremy if they would actually take over management of God's Not Dead Ministries. And there's a purpose behind that, and we'll explain that at the next board meeting, given that everything votes correctly. But we're going to have a need for another active board member. Tiffany is extraordinarily thin when it comes to her schedule, and she has graciously allowed us to use her name and even her information and even her insight on things from afar. Trust me when I tell you, just because she hasn't been to the board meetings doesn't mean she has not been an active member of the board. She has been. If you know Tiffany, that girl's got more obligations, personal, ministerial, and job-wise than you could probably know of. So, anyways, thank you again. Love you guys. Bye.